Okay, good evening, everyone. Good to see all of you today for our webinar session. Okay, before we start with our webinar today, so I just want to have some introduction. So, as the first BIM company in Sarawak, this webinar is part of PCSS CSR to introduce and create awareness about BIM to Sarawak construction, and today specifically for road and bridges. So BCSS has been working with Bentley for quite some time for BIM awareness, where we are actively do training, workshop, and seminar for big players, construction consultants and students. So today we're glad that to have Miss Melin, is our Bentley people from Singapore, to share what we have, uh, the beam part that we can use for a road and bridges design. So as we know, beam itself generally is connecting teams, workflows, and data across the entire project lifecycle, from design, engineering to constructions and operations, to realize better ways of working and better outcomes. Okay, today we would like to invite Melin to share with us what is OpenRoads. Hi Melin, how are you? How's Singapore?
Hello, hi, good afternoon. You
Yeah,
can hear me clearly?
yeah. Perhaps you need to be more louder.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, good to see you, Melin. The last I
Hi.
saw you during a Bentley where we gather in Sheraton, Kuala Lumpur, somewhere in 2019, I guess.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah,
a long time.
yeah,
Okay, how's everyone?
yeah. It's 4 o'clock. Hope that everyone will stay awake with the topic. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead with your session, Melin.
Okay. Let me just share my screen. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, can see.
Okay, great. Okay. So shall I start?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
okay.
probably I'll. Is it okay? I turn off my camera so that um it won't add to the bandwidth of the
Yes,
presentation. Or you
okay.
want it on?
It's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. I'll put on mute. What's the problem? Okay, let's see. Oops. Anyway, I cannot turn it off anymore. Anyway, let me just proceed with my presentation thing. Okay, as long as you can see my screen, then I should be okay, right? Okay.
Yeah, clear enough from here, Melin.
Okay. Great. So, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So it's the end of the week, and we're almost ending the day. So I do hope this session will still give or impart good information and quite give us an overview, okay, of what is open roads. Okay, because I think in Malaysia most people are using MXRoad or probably other applications. So this session is good for us to understand what open roads is. Okay, so my agenda would be basically revolve on this topic here. Okay, so understanding what open roads is, and then I have two applications to show you. Okay, although our session would focus more on the open road designer, but I would also it would also be good if I would introduce Open Roads design concept station, since it's our application basically for quick conceptual modeling. And then I'll dive into Open Roads per se, specifically its advantages compared to MXRoad. And then in the middle of my presentation, I'll show the software itself and how it can create or basically show you an almost finished model, okay, created in OpenRoads Designer. And then the last part would be focusing more on the additional benefits that you can get when you're using OpenRoads Designer, and then how it can help you, or how BCSS as well as Bentley and Atrocity can help you move forward and migrate or use the latest OpenRoads Designer version. Okay, so let me start. Wait, I'm having some troubles with the slide. Okay, so I think this is more or less like a history in terms of how the design or civil design, not only civil design, but almost all disciplines have evolved in terms of the technology that we have for the past 20 or 30 or so years. Okay, from CAD, okay, that is where we take the paper into computer, okay, and do our drafting there. And then, oops, what's this? The, anybody asking to annotate? Okay, please don't. Okay. Anyway, let me continue on. So after CAD, we went to the age of BIM, or Building Information Modeling, from where actually we are there now as of the moment. Okay? From where we don't just create 3D models, okay? We also uh, add in the construction as well as the operation and maintenance aspect to your 3D models. Okay, so we add in the factor, or the time dimension, the cost dimension, as well as the operations and maintenance aspect. And as we advance to BIM, okay, we are now actually going towards delivering, or this BIM or information model more or less is delivering a digital twin of the asset, okay, or the infrastructure asset that we are uh, doing. Okay, and I think most of you are also familiar with this workflow. Okay, just to reiterate on the full infrastructure life cycle, from planning, conceptual design, detail design, construction, up to operations and maintenance. Okay, but where does OpenRoads Concept Station and OpenRoads Designer lies from all these workflow? It's basically in the conceptual as well as the detail design. But we have to make sure that the model, okay, the model that you create, or the information model that you create, can be taken and reused without starting from scratch, okay, to construction up to operations and maintenance. So the old workflow of creating it from scratch again when we do construction uh, as well as operation and maintenance should not be the case, because we have to make sure that the digital twin that we create can be reused, okay, and then recycled, and get information that are inside already in the model that we have been creating. Okay, so from here, let me give you a brief overview of Concept Station, OpenRoads Concept Station, as well as OpenRoads Designer. Just to understand the solution or the software more, when we say conceptual design, okay, that's where we more or less in a way plan out how our infrastructure model would look like. Okay, so that's why the term concept. Okay, so we're creating a concept model or conceptual model of our project, maybe for bidding, okay, or tender purposes, and that's where OpenRoads Concept Station comes in. So a quick way or method of creating your three-dimensional model, but on a conceptual basis, and gives you a quick calculations, like quantities as well as cost in terms of the model that you create. Okay. Now, when you need to move on to the detailed design, that's where OpenRoads Designer comes in now. Okay, but the OpenRoads Designer, as you will see later on, will be focused more on uh, really creating a road model or a highway model that follows design standards uh, with embedded information model, and then quantities, and then you derive quantities as well as costs, right? And then take it to drawing production, okay, up to operations and maintenance, and making sure that that model can be used on the
Oh,
entire project life cycle.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so from there,
Maybe.
yes,
Maylin,
yeah,
since we are talking about the open road concept station and then open
yes,
road designer here, right?
okay,
So through my reading, right, under open roads we have around we have open road concept station, open
mm-hmm,
road designer, open road sign cat, and open roads navigator. So are
mm-hmm.
they separate entity or are they in one package when you buy
Um,
open road? Yes.
okay, okay. Thank
Mm.
you for that question. Open, it's all different softwares. Okay, so OpenRoads Concept Station is a different install.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's similarly OpenRoads Designer is also a separate installation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
OpenRoads Designer, as you will see later on, is actually built on top of MicroStation. Okay, unlike OpenRoads Concept Station, wherein the interface is really for just quick modeling. Okay,
All
now
right.
for SignCAD, okay,
Mm-hmm.
OpenRoads SignCAD, it's again another package, but it's also, I mean, it's built on top of OpenRoads. So the OpenRoads is the main design engine, but of course its CAD engine is also MicroStation.
All right. Yeah.
Then OpenRoads Navigator is, if you are aware already of the development that is happening within Bentley, okay, um, although you can still install it, but right now we are going towards the digital twin, right, or the iTwin workflow. So this is actually being replaced already by that particular platform, the
All right.
iTwin design review. Okay. I will show that as well later on. Time permits.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on. So giving you more information about okay, giving more information on OpenRoads Concept Station. So as I've said, this is the software or a tool that allows you to quickly create 3D models. Okay, and then allows you to come up with different design alternatives, meaning maybe you create one or two design options, and then based on those design options, you can derive cost, okay, and then probably decide or let your client decide as to what would be the what model would be taken to towards the detailed design, okay, by the financial or cost as well as quantities that that particular conceptual model comes in comes with, okay, and then of course the very, I think most are still relying on visualization to realize or see how their model looks like, okay. That's where Lumen RT inside Concept Station comes in as well. Okay. So basically, in just a quick overview, so this is how OpenRoads Concept Station looks like. Okay. And then I have a very, very short overview, okay, on what or how Concept Station is used in terms of creating a quick conceptual design, which can give you this kind of output, okay, a video, okay, or an animation of your conceptual model that starts from identifying the location or position of your project, okay. You can download information from the internet, okay, data could be used. But if let's say you have information such as high resolution data, point cloud data, or even reality meshes that comes from maybe context capture, which is also a Bentley software, then you can use that to be your to use as a 3D terrain basis of your preliminary design. And then from where Concept Station have a quick tool that allows you to lay out roads like what you're seeing here. So because your survey data already is three-dimensional, so every time you lay out a road, okay, by just clicking on your decide PI or maybe the point of intersection given to you, then you would know that it shows you the cut as well as the fill already as you are laying them out. And then you can quickly change the horizontal direction, including the vertical profile, okay, as quick as you can, and then see the result real time because it quickly produces a 3D model as you can see here in the video. Okay, so anytime there would be uh, changes, you can dynamically modify either the horizontal alignment or maybe the vertical alignment so that you can readily see if it gives you much cut or much fill. Okay. And then anytime you wish to add in maybe bridges, okay, ramps, you can also do so because the software also has more or less a tool that will allow you to place in bridges of different components like different abutments, piers, uh, and allows you to manage them, okay, easily because you can edit them graphically, okay, by just using very easy tool inside OpenRoads Concept Station. Okay, and anytime, okay, you can also uh, use some clearances tools that allows you to or indicates if your bridge clearance, the height of the deck, okay, more or less follows a certain clearance. Okay. In terms of quick road placement, we have tools that will allow you to create roundabouts. Okay, and then this roundabouts can be edited graphically, okay, in the model real time as you feel uh, or deemed to do so. Okay? So the annotations that you see are dynamic. So meaning to say you can change the value by just clicking on this annotations and then type in the measurement or dimension that you want. So apart from the roundabouts, you can also lay out intersections as quick as you can because it also has an intersection tool. And then if you notice, as you model it, okay, or lay them out quickly, it already gives you lane markings, okay? And then once you're done, you can derive the cost, okay? And then from there, decide on what design you would have. And then because Concept Station has Luminarity also embedded in software, you can create high resolution still rendered images and also a video that looks like this and create or visualize a real world traffic because you can output the, the traffic animation that you create to another software called Vism so that you can more or less create a realistic script in terms of the traffic movement in the road that you design that you just conceptually design. Okay. So once that model is finished, you can push that to OpenRoads Designer so that you can do the detailed modeling or the preliminary design for model. Okay. So with that, I will move on to OpenRoads Designer. Okay. So basically, as I said, this is now the part wherein you do the detailed design. Okay. So OpenRoads is our detailed civil design application for civil infrastructure, highway infrastructure market. and provides you robust tools for design as well as delivery of projects by creating 3D models, 3D information models that produces construction drawings, production drawings, okay, digital construction data. When you say digital construction data, those BIM deliverables like IFC or any or a 3D model that has an asset information inside. And of course, since this is an information model, you can derive quantities and reports. Okay, now let's go back to a history lesson again. Okay, so OpenRoads Designer is actually like an evolution, okay, that has happened to the Bentley civil design softwares, okay, to adapt and follow the evolution that is also happening with MicroStation. Okay, so I think some of you already knows MX, okay, because most of the standards that Malaysia have are built on top of MXRoad, okay. But for the information of everyone, we also have some other civil design tool, Geopack as well as InRoads, okay. So depending on the project you're in, maybe some of you have an experience using InRoads, which is common to Singapore, okay, Geopack maybe in US or Europe, okay, and MX, Malaysia, Australia, and also some parts of USA, Europe, okay. So with all these three, okay, I think 5 or so years ago, we released versions of all these three softwares that already has the OpenRoads technology inside. Okay, so it still is installed as MXRoad, InRoads, and Geopack, but the OpenRoads tools are already inside. Okay, it's just that you can still use the old MX tools, the old Geopack tools, and then InRoads tools. Then additional to that, okay, being in a V8i platform, it's using, or these three are using MicroStation as the CAD platform. But maybe some like MX, it's can also be used on top of another software. Okay, but basically, these three, since the Select series 2, 3, up to 4, and up to 10, okay, which is the latest now, for V8i, okay, they are named as Geopack and Reservoirs. Then we have some tools that comes with it, like the cart, drainage, and utilities. For the subsurface utilities, it was called subsurface and utilities back then, and then the functionality of StormCAD for your hydrology and hydraulics workflow.
So, Maylin,
Yeah.
are we right if we're saying that OpenRoads is a combination of these current civil products, which is in road, geopack, MXRoad, and Power Civil?
Okay, so I'll
Mhm.
explain that answer in the next slide. Okay, so these three now are being replaced by OpenRoads design. So meaning to say, although maybe uh, some of you are still or uses MXRoad, or you have an install of MXRoad, right? But this install, okay, will be in a way we are phasing out it very soon by replacing it with OpenRoads Designer. So there would come a time in the very, very near future that MX cannot be used anymore. And the replacement to that is OpenRoads Designer. Okay? Is that clear, Flora?
Yeah, yeah, it's clear. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay? So that's why the reason for this, in a way, this session is for, and someone is asking to another. Okay, so the reason why we have this particular session is for us to understand that we there is actually a need already for us to really get ourselves started with OpenRoads Designer, because like what happened to the evolution of maybe Microsoft OS, okay, uh, it evolved at some point from where we came from. My age will you will know my age by telling you this, from 95, like Windows 95, then 2000 XP, then we have Windows 7, then became 8, then we have the new one, which is the Windows 10, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay, so similarly, we have to in a way evolve. So that's why we have open roads designer. Okay, but let's be clear that we will help any users or any MX users to slowly migrate to open source design. Okay, and I will explain that as well later on. Okay, but just to reiterate, okay, or maybe highlight on what you can get inside open source designer is that full roadway and highways design tools, design and modeling tools. Then you can also do site design because it has the full version of Open Site Designer. Okay. Then anything that you know of in MicroStation, you can do so because it has the full function of MicroStation as well. Okay. To be in line to the Connect edition of our Bentley softwares. Okay. Then apart from that, we have additional tools that will allow you to leverage on GIS data, raster imagery, point cloud data, reality models by using the full function of Descartes. This is or Descartes. This is our reality modeling software. And then drainage and utilities for your drainage and utilities layout. And then we have the full function of StormCAD as well when you want to do hydraulic calculations. And then adding in your borehole, bore log data and visualize them in 3D, we have the GIMP civil tools. Okay, but of course, everything starts with your survey data. So that's why we also have the full function of survey inside OpenRoads Design. And of course, a lot more. Okay, with all these tools, you can do terrain modeling, and because it's a roadway design tool, therefore you can do horizontal and vertical alignments or geometry. Then the heart and soul of the software is basically its corridor modeling tools, which you will see later on. Grading and optimization, because you can do site design, you can optimize your grading by using this open site tools inside. Then we have some latest tools like civil cells, drawing production tools, and then some visualization tools as well, because MicroStation itself has a visualization platform or engine, you can also output them to LumenRT, which comes free. Okay, it comes for free in OpenRoads Designer. Then, of course, supporting almost all of your BIM deliverables and so on. So these are all the things, the many things or benefits that OpenRoads can do in a roadway and a site, highways design. Okay. Now, focusing on what you get, okay, versus what you get in OpenRoads versus what you have in MXRoad. Okay, so basically, OpenRoads Designer. So I don't mean to compete because MX is also Bentley software. It's just that we need to reiterate that MXRoad, okay, will be in a way retiring very soon. Okay, retiring very soon. That's why we are doing our best to help our users migrate, okay, easily, okay, to OpenRoads Designer. So the differences or the main differences, okay, that we have for OpenRoads versus MX is that um, OpenRoads is not string-based. Okay, it's not using strings or denial format for you to create your models. So it's basically template-based, meaning template means the cross-section, okay, cross-section of your typical road, typical or not so typical road. Okay, and then everything are using the DGN as the database, okay, or repository of your data. It's unlike MXRoad that it has a build file, then Genio file. So, and then you just see them or see the model inside the DGN, okay, or the graphics in the DGN. In OpenRoads, what you see, okay, in the DGN is the civil model already. Okay. Installation wise, it's standalone and based on MicroStation. Unlike MX, although there is a standalone version, but you can install in AutoCAD before and then even in MicroStation. Okay. So the installation in OpenRoads is pretty much simple, very straightforward. And computing capacity or capability, we MX is still 32-bit, whereas OpenRoads is 64-bit. Okay, and of course, the, the very important workflow that OpenRoads can support or interoperate seamlessly with is your BIM workflows, which is quite limited in OpenRoads. Okay, and we update OpenRoads as your operating system updates as well. Unlike MX, it has stopped, okay, in terms of the development. That's why there are sometimes that, or most of the time, you have some limitations in terms of how some icons, commands, or workflows would work because sometimes it has some issues with your operating system. Okay, and it's more or less like an almost obsolete technology because it has no more upgrade path. Okay, because the development has stopped. Okay, although MX is really a very powerful uh, solution, and from among the three softwares, MX, Inroads, and Geopack, MX users are the ones having a hard time or really having the what do you call this anxiety, the separation anxiety in terms of migrating to OpenRoads because since MX really is a very special string-based type of modeling, that's why people who are MX users are really having a tough time to migrate to OpenRoads. Okay, and with that, so Bentley's core civil design platform would still be or will be and would be still in the future, in the present and in the future would still be OpenRoads designer. Okay, and as I emphasized earlier, if you can recall this slide, so OpenRoads is actually the main engine, okay, of these two civil design software: OpenSite Designer and then OpenRail Design. So if you're doing rail models, rail design, okay, alignments and all, there is OpenRail Designer. But this tool is actually using OpenRoads as the main civil design engine. Okay. Now I would like to reiterate on the benefits or advantages of using OpenRoads by discussing these 4 points, okay, which I would go through in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so it uses DGN as a common data format. And then in terms of data management, it leverages on the MicroStation federated approach, meaning simple referencing, and like in MX, you, you reference the build files, the input files, and so on, and see them or view them in DJ. Okay, and then we also have a centralized standards by using OpenRoads Designer because since it's microstation based, so it also utilizes the workspace workset type of standardization. Okay, and the models are pretty much dynamic from start to finish. Okay, everything are interrelated to each other. Okay, and I'll go through each of this by one. So as I've mentioned, okay, the, the file format of OpenRoads is DJN, .djn, which is, hope everyone knows, this is microstation format. So all your alignment or geometry, terrain models, corridor models, okay, even your drawing production are all inside the DJN. And this is more or less our main, okay, uh, format within Bentley. Okay, because some or most of our open application also uses DJN as the main file format. So apart from OpenRoads, I mentioned about Open Rail Designer. There's also Open Buildings Designer, Open Bridge, Open Plan, and many other softwares, all using the DGN as the main format. Not, but don't get me wrong, even though it's DGN, it's not just a CAD file. Okay, it's not just a CAD. So with that, okay, so all your data, okay, can be saved in separate DGNs like your survey, your digital terrain model, geometry, in sections, corridors, or even your final terrain are all in a DGN file. Okay, but when I say all can be saved in a DGN file, okay, don't get me wrong. Okay, we will still discuss on the federated, okay, way of handling or managing your civil data. Okay, don't put everything in one file. That's the main thing. Okay? Although you can, but then later on, if you're dealing with many or very large projects, maybe putting them in single file is a good approach. Okay, so the the meaning of this slide is just that your terrain, okay, are saved in DGN. Even your utilities network are in the DGN. Corridor models, bridge model created in Open Bridge Modeler can also be referenced easily because it's DGN and so on. Okay. So when you go through a complex type of project or even simple, okay, we always recommend the second approach is to federate, okay, your civil data, okay, or managing your file because sometimes, okay, one team is only doing survey of the terrain, okay, or maybe someone will do or create a reality model and build a terrain from it, okay, and he will just, or someone who's doing the alignment, your highway alignment designer would be referencing the terrain data, okay, so that he can easily, he or she can easily lay out the center line of the corridor easily, and then add in design standards, they apply super elevation, and then derive corridor models. Okay, so basically, um, the, this slide just tells us that you have to federate the data or the yeah, the data that you have, not save them in one DGN file. So the best practice is save probably your terrain in one DGN file, then your center line in one DGN file. It would be good if you have a separate file that would allow you to do your super elevation calculation and then reference those files in your main corridor file so that you can do the corridor model and so on. So, okay, so now what is or the importance or what are the benefits of doing this? It's basically I think I've already explained the gist of this slide. But basically, just to visualize, okay, just to visualize my point, you create them in different files or different DGN, and then probably you have maybe a master DGN that would reference everything, and then you do your drawing production. Okay. So the benefit would be, okay, smaller files are inherently faster and more efficient. Okay, and you can easily manage and recall where the objects or the civil objects are. And it's very important that you, especially if your organization uh, delegates or gives the task to different know, staffs or designers, engineers, okay, or modelers. So it it supports the multi-user environment, okay, and it's easier for you to later on maybe compile, okay, your different uh, design scenarios so that uh, everything can be managed properly. Okay, so again, DGN as the main file, then using federated approach to handle or all your civil data. Okay, and another advantage of OpenRoads Designer is that it's leveraging on the workspace and work set, okay, way of saving, okay, or preserving your standards. It can be a project standard or maybe a country standard, okay, uh, company or a project specific standard. Okay, so all the CAD, including the BIM standards, can easily be preserved and saved and reused, okay, or recycled in another project if needed, okay, because it is saved in a workspace setting. Okay. I will show it to you later on how this actually helps you in terms of your project delivery. Okay, although my example is a Singapore standard, but for everyone's information, we also have a Malaysia data set. Okay, but it was built on, it was created a bit 2 years ago. Okay, we are now continuing on with the customization of the Malaysia standard, basically because some users have already, okay, given us a go signal to help us further customize the Malaysia dataset. So this can be a country standard, and then each agencies or Department of Transportation can use this so that they can probably roll them out to the projects that they're doing. And we know some of you are relying much on the MX standards. So this is also a good way to migrate those standards to the Connect version. And we are more or less in the process of updating the Malaysia data set. Okay. So everyone can can benefit in case, especially those. Okay, and yeah, from start to finish, everything are dynamic. Okay, from the terrain that you create from your survey or reality models up to the site that you generate. Okay, the alignments or geometries that you create, be it horizontal or vertical, and the corridor, okay, the 3D model itself, referencing the templates, and then all the drainage and utilities, hydraulic calculation that you need to do, up to the aspect we're in, because we always need, more or less, most projects, be it in any part of the world, they always rely on the drawing production output. And then, of course, apart from that, the quantities and reports that we derive from our information. Okay? Then I will be talking about the visualization and a bit of iTwin later on as well. Okay? So let's now look into the software. So very quick demo since Am I still on time, Cora? Still okay? So I will now shift to the software. So this is OpenRoads Designer. Okay,
Yeah, go ahead, Naveen.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Until 7 p.m. No, joke. Okay, so this is OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition. Okay, now the workspace that I mentioned earlier. Okay, it's basically a way for you to standardize your country, your organization, or maybe your project specific uh, deliverables. Okay, so like for instance, in here, if you see here, I have quite some, okay, already quite a number of workspaces already. Okay, like the default when you install, we have the training and examples, and I have some Australia or ANZ standard, Singapore standards, okay, Indonesia, and then of course Malaysia. Okay, but as I said, the Malaysia standard is pretty much a work in progress up until now, which only has the design standards like the speed, okay, super elevation standards embedded. So not yet up to the level of the alignment showing this color, this line type, this line weight. So we still are in the progress of doing such. Okay, so with that, so every time you start or open a project in OpenRoads, this is the first thing you need to do. Make sure you path it to that workspace that contains all the standard that you need for the project. Okay, and there could be a work set that is more or less similar to workspace, okay, but this probably has a little tweak, okay, in terms of the standards that you need in terms of the project that you're doing. Okay, so let me just probably open the sample geometry file I have, okay, so that you can see how the software looks like. So I'm opening the software live, okay, so that's why there could be a bit of a lag in terms of the speed because it's getting, okay, or it's pulling out the standards that are referenced inside the workspace and the workset. So this is how OpenRoads Designer looks like. So the user interface is pretty much in line with the new Microsoft ribbon, okay, ribbons with different tabs, okay, according to the workflow that you need. So like for instance, if you're gonna do terrain modeling, so we have this, okay, terrain modeling, geometry, site, corridor, and then drawing production, and so on. Okay, and apart from that, we have these different workflows, which I will explain later on, that allows you to leverage on the other discipline-specific tools. Maybe you're just starting, you want to use survey, okay, or you want to get those survey data in, okay, as a basis of maybe your terrain or your geometry creation later on. Then we have geotechnical, reality modeling, and then of course drainage and utilities. Okay, so for now we will stick to the OpenRoads modeling workflow. Okay, but if you can see here, for those who are using V8i, so all those what you call this pull down menus are no longer there because it's replaced by the ribbons. And then all the settings or tools that you need are now part of the backstage. Like for instance, settings for file settings, okay, design file settings, uh, format of your coordinates, your slope, okay, your spiral, as well as some profile settings, okay, in here, speed settings, or how come it's PPH, okay, and so on, okay, and then a lot more. Um, and if you are in the process of maybe starting to migrate to OpenRoads, coming from MX, we have some tools here that will allow you to do that. Let's say you have, let's say start from terrain. So from file, if you need to import in those data coming from MX, fill, then your Genio terrain data, okay, can be imported or migrated inside OpenRoads using this import terrain tools. Then apart from that, your geometries or your alignments from OpenRoads or from MX, you can import them in by utilizing the import geometry tool, and then you can also get them inside OpenRoads. This, okay. Although I'm not gonna go into a very much detailed demo, okay, because we can do that in probably separate session for each of the clients or users of MXRoad through CSS, okay, so that we can schedule a more in-depth discussion, okay. But I'm just showing you that the look and feel of the software is pretty much new, okay. If you are using the old Explorer or maybe some tools in MX, okay, the objects that you will create are now going to be listed in the OpenRoads model, alignment. If you see here, this is actually an alignment file. So this file only contains the alignment, the center line alignments of the project. Open, or I'm going to show you. Okay, so that's why in this, you only can see the alignments. Okay, there. And if I may just select one, okay, so notice how this is very much different from how you use how you use MX, how you use inroads. So everything are pretty much graphical in terms of how you edit, okay, how you modify your objects. It can be based on the snaps or the dynamic data that you see here. Okay, it can also be done in a table manner by using the table editor here. So every part or segment of your geometry can be modified in the table. Okay, similarly, okay, if it's the same for your vertical profile. So let me just show you the vertical profile of this alignment. This one doesn't have one, but let me just show the one it has, because this is just showing the proposed one or the existing one. So this is the vertical profile of this alignment, which is called the London Road. So this is the vertical profile. Then from here, you can edit them straight from graphics, okay? Or again, the table editor. So you got that, you get that flexibility. If you want to see reports based on this geometry, okay, based on this geometry, then you can also do so. Okay? And the Explorer, again, lists all your objects. Then remember the workspace, okay? The workspace pretty much relies on different DGN libraries, okay, which are saved in the workspace folders when you install OpenRoads Designer. Okay, all of them are or can be displayed or shown in the OpenRoads Standards tab of the Explorer, and then from there you would know what workspace if you're not too keen or aware of the standards you're using is in here. Okay, like for instance in the design standards that you need to use. So since I'm using the training and example, it's actually like a US standard, so that's why it shows us the ASHTO. And then there's also a UK standard added in there, okay, which has this design standards for the horizontal as well as vertical uh, standards, okay, and so on. So these things can or is already intact in the Malaysia dataset. okay, in the Malaysia dataset, following Malaysia standard, and so on. Going back here, so this is your geometry, okay? Now, let me just show you a finished, okay, let me just close, because I saw an error coming out a while ago. Let me just restart the software, because I have this open since morning, and I'm doing many tasks already, so that's why probably it feels that it's already weekend. That's why uh, it's retiring again. So I'm updating it again, or I'm reopening the software again. But while we wait, additional things or functionalities that you can do in OpenRoads, since it's open already. Again, plain examples, metric. I want to show you the finished corridor model that I created. And as I said, I'm not going to go detailed on showing you how to create the alignment, how to create the corridor, but basically I am reiterating on the tools, okay, as well as user interface and the great innovation that are inside OpenRoads Designer compared to OpenRoads. So I'm not too sure if questions are coming in, Laura, so just let me know if you need to answer some
Yeah,
questions.
we do have a quick one.
Mm-hmm.
Does OpenRoads integrate with GIS information? This is a question from Muhammad Ehsan.
GIN
Yeah,
or
it,
GIS?
GIS.
GIS.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Uh, yeah, there are quite some data or some GIS data that we can open or reference. Okay, like for instance, we can directly open, you see here, we can directly open shape files. That is a GIS format, right? Shape files, if I'm not mistaken, it's here. There. Okay, shape. You can directly open shape files. You
Mm-hmm.
can also reference them inside reference meaning XREF if you're familiar with the other software's terminology. So shape is also in here. Okay, so it's SV format. And apart from that, everything are geo-coordinated. Okay, meaning to say everything needs to have, or if the best practice is to make sure that everything are geo located properly. So that's why the software has a way for you to assign coordinate systems, because we have a very robust list of all the possible coordinate systems used globally. Okay, for Malaysia, projected one, Asia, Asia, there. Okay, we have quite a lot here. Okay. Then apart from that, in terms of other mapping tools that are needed, um, it can be utilized in the reality modeling workflow, like for instance, point cloud data, um, other raster formats, very much almost all that you can think of in terms of the raster data that we use in your mapping or GIS workflow. Okay. If you want a quick view of where your project is, since it's geo coordinated or located already, we have a quick integration with Bing Map. Okay. Bing Map allows you to make sure that wait, let me check if I look again. I thought, okay. So I'm loading in or turning on the Bing Map in my background. There we go. I think I changed my coordinate system. Did I? This is correct. Okay. So there, being mapped, although we are positioned, it, it took in a cloudy area anyway. Okay, but basically, anyway, I think I know what this. Oops. Since this is live, yeah, we are using MXRoad. Okay, so yeah, we have quite a lot of ways for you to support your GIS data. Okay? But as I said, or let me just reiterate that this is not a GIS software, but you can integrate with the GIS data. So we have another solution for that. We call it the Open Cities Map, which used to be called the Bentley Map for the really hardcore GIS workflow or GIS software that we have. That.
Yeah. And another extension to the
Mm-hmm.
question just now, and then what Ihsan said. So basically, we can use this data to improve our 4D planning, where schedule combined with 3D to show the construction simulation. Is he right with this statement?
Excuse me. Now, in terms of the construction simulation, I think you use Synchro for that, right? But then the model that you create in OpenRoads can be used inside Synchro because it's, I mean, we have a workflow or, I mean, Synchro has a way to read in the DGN file in terms of creating the construction sequence. And then just in relation to that, okay, remember I mentioned that OpenRoads is not string-based. Okay, we are using template-based approach in terms of your modeling. So the template is actually the one that creates the, if I may just show, because this is so that more or less Synchro can use the information that OpenRoads creates. So since everything are still in a way CAD, I mean the CAD engine is still working at the background. So OpenRoads facilitates the creation, the easy and fast creation of the 3D corridor model by using templates. Okay, so let me just open the template. Okay, this let me open the specific or the corresponding template file. So this is the template creation window that basically facilitates or this is where you customize the cross sections. We call it template so that your corridor will utilize the horizontal geometry as well as the vertical geometry. And then it's more like extruding, okay? The template is extruding the X and Y direction based on your alignment. Okay, and then this information is the one actually that will be used later on for your construction sequencing. Basically, we have a tool. Okay, we have how do you call it? A more uh, dedicated or tool for you to do the construction. But for the modeling per se, you do it inside of the process. Okay. Now, just to reiterate, okay, so the corridor that you see here basically relies on the template, okay, which generates the linear objects based on the points that are in the template. Then the pavements that you see here are basically from the template, okay? So it's no longer string based. And these points are basically intelligent and parametric because let's say for instance if I may just move this horizontally, you see everything they will dynamically follow point that is constrained to everything. Okay, if super elevation would be later on be added, so we have this vertical testing tool that allows you to more or less see how the lanes, okay, would super elevate based on the rules that you will apply, okay, and then how it cuts and fills in the ground will be based on the end conditions that you have in your template. So these green lines that you see are the cut and fill that will happen depending on your existing ground. So what is going to happen is that it, you see here? So more or less, if the existing ground is here, okay, so the end condition will target them as based on the rules that you set on the template. Okay, if for instance, if for instance you have like a specific point and then specific point that needs to be constrained, not this way, needs to be constrained, sorry, needs to be, we are on that. Yeah, I needs to be constrained. Let's say you have an existing line, existing facility on the road or existing that it needs to be targeted. Okay, you can have that constraint. And then the other side will just follow the rule that you have set in the end condition. Okay, so this is how the template would work, okay, as compared to how OpenRoads creates them. And these are very parametric, meaning you can give different rules to it, okay, based on, if I may just show you the rule point properties of this point. So it can be constrained according to slope, horizontal or vertical, or even vector offset, angle distance. It can be used for your super elevation calculation later on. Similarly, for the other side, same thing. So you can, okay, give uh, whatever behavior you would want to give to the templates in your cross section, okay, depending on the behavior you want. So if you would see here, these are just examples that were being used in this model. So we have a retaining wall here. So notice if I just move it horizontally, move it vertically. So this is how it would do the models, or it would dynamically adapt to the, the model that you're creating, or as you create them, as you create them. Okay. So another example of how good this template based type of modeling is, let's say for instance, at some point, some parts from the curb up to the sidewalk and to the what we call this end condition needs to be terminated, right? So you can um, uh, create a condition that anytime based on a range of chainage or station, that particular components or those particular components will be gone and will not be used. So this can be dynamically set, okay, as one of the most important behavior of your uh, corridor. Okay, and this is an almost finished project. Okay, almost finished project. So that's why I and if you can see here, if we just go back to the federated approach that I have mentioned. So this file basically is an empty file, but the geometry file are being referenced, okay, from a geometry DGN. So you see here, as I turn off, this is the geometry file being referenced. If I turn that off, you don't see anything. If I turn off the existing ground, this green one here, You don't see anything. Okay. Then other things, let's say for instance, the other geometry information. So this file only contains this corridor, basically, this one. So this is how more or less federated approach is very important because it maximizes on the file size and optimizes it, make sure that you won't have a very large model at the end. Okay. And if you may just look at the 3D model itself, this actually is, as I mentioned, this is just the corridor containing this corridor here, which is actually called the London Road. But there's also, it's also referencing another corridor, this one in the middle. Then I have some bridges as well there, and some abutments already referenced. Okay, so if we look at this model here in 3D, let me just make sure this states. Let's put it there. Okay. Okay. So the bridge deck that you see are modeled using uh using, oops, what can I turn off my, let's see, you can now see my bedroom.
Mhm.
Okay.
Maylin,
Yeah.
Maylin, from your estimation, how fast can someone really can get this knowledge to perform? I mean, can hands-on on open roads?
How can they
How
start
fast? I mean,
to
once they're
learn?
on, yes, learn open roads.
If they are already, I mean, if they know, if they're already road design engineers, modelers, they know of the principles, then it's really easy. It's just for them to learn the tools, the right tools. So, like for instance, we for the fundamentals, we offer maybe 3 days, eight hours, and then you have the basic tools already. I mean, you know the basic tools already. And then if you need to do some advanced drawing production and then corridor editing tools, then probably you add in 1 or 2 days. It depends. It depends on how one person catch up with with the with uh, with with the software. Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot really tell
Yeah.
a very specific they call this. But if you're coming from MXRoad, you know CAD, you know civil design principles, right? It's just knowing where the right tools are in the software, basically.
Mm,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, just to uh, finish off in the demo, right? So what you're seeing here in view number 7 is basically the cross section of the road that I showed you. So I've already applied a super elevation on it specifically. That's why it's actually showing you this curved area here. Okay. So if I may just look into another location, maybe an area without a super elevation. So this is it. Then another location that has, oops, that has, uh, I want to really turn off my video. Yeah, there. See, turn off my video because the virtual background is disabled again. Wait, I want to show an area from where there's already a widening the road. Okay, where this area from here. See, let me just from here. Then I just look here, look in the cross section how it widen, okay, as it moves through the cross section. And that area in PD is basically in this position. There, this area here. Okay. Then lastly, if you're done, and there you have so many tools in terms of creating the corridor. You have these tools and many tools apart from that. Then if you would like to visually check on your project, you have the 3D drive-through tool that will more or less allow you to, to visually examine your model. Okay, so I'm using the drive-through tool for this. And then you can just play, maybe I'll just make it fast and then run, okay, a drive through along the road that you created, okay. I'm now going towards the bridge, under the bridge, okay, and you see how it cuts and fills the ground. There are some areas that doesn't have an end condition, basically because I trimmed it off to maybe facilitate another road coming in. There's another corridor file that has it. Okay. Okay, question? And this corridor model is pretty much an information model in itself already because it has quantities or quantities based on the template, okay, that you use. We have a summary of that in here. Then we also have a report browser that allows you to show a more detailed data or information of the corridor quantities, okay, in the corridor model that you create. Okay, so let me just shift to my the final part of my presentation. So apart from the modeling, okay, the in thing right now is using some scripting, okay, or visual scripting tools. We call that generative components. So you can do that in OpenRoads, okay, designer. So GC used to be just part of our building software, but this is now included inside OpenRoads designer. So it gives you, especially for those who are geeky or nerdy in terms of using programming, okay, although it's only visual programming, okay, but in a way, it gives you a lot of tools and options in order for you to model your corridor, okay, your highways, okay, and so on. So this is just one example from where it utilizes the generative components or computational design tool of inside, okay, inside OpenRoads design. Okay, and leveraging on the federated approach, maybe the corridor is in another file and then the scripting file is in another DGN. So anytime the model updates, maybe the center line or the main alignment updates, you just need to refresh the script and then the corridor will be updated. So this is one good tool that are already inside OpenRoads Designer and leveraging on the latest technology of computational design. Okay, and then going towards the last part. So I hope we still have an audience. Okay, so more benefits. You can use reality, different reality data. Okay, we have a robust project deliverables that you can output to apart from the drawing production. Of course, visualization, you can do, you can use the MicroStation rendering engine, and you can also output to LumenRT, okay? And since we are using the iTwin or our main goal is really to output a digital twin and make sure that digital twin can be leveraged in the other disciplines. Okay, we can also support your digital twin workflow by using the iTwin or iTwin or iModel Hub of Bentley. Okay, now I may not be going towards the detail of the other uh, things that I want to show, okay, because limited. But basically integrating to different disciplines, as I've mentioned, we have the GIN tools inside OpenRoads. We have a way to utilize point cloud data, reality data, GIS, as well as mapping data, other raster formats. Then out create a utility for drainage network, okay, including water, electrical, and telco networks in an information model. Then hydraulic aspect, okay, we have the open closed integration because we have StormPad functionality. And since everything are DGN, we can easily reference and they can easily reference your OpenRoads model, okay, because we have the common DGN form. So these are our other softwares, Open Buildings, Open Bridge, Open Plan. And of course, let's not forget that we are very much interoperable with the other third-party civil design softwares. Okay, like I will not mention anymore, but I think you know them. Okay, um, and of course the digital twin workflow. Okay, which basically leverages on the iModel hub of Bentley or the iTwin design review of Bentley, which allows you to use the web or leverage on the cloud uh, uh, platform in terms of collaborating with other disciplines. Okay, it can be just within your team, but we know that in a typical linear highway or infrastructure project, different disciplines must collaborate, okay, or integrate with each other. So this is where iTwin design review comes in. Okay, that's why we are in a way. This is more of the replacement of the OpenRoads Navigator, leveraging on the cloud-based technology. But the the publishing, okay, of the OpenRoads model you create, okay, can be directly done inside the software. You don't need a special tool for you to do that because we have the iTwin synchronizer inside OpenRoads Designer. In order for you to publish them to web, okay, so that you can do your design review. The advantage of this is, let's say our boss, they don't need to install OpenRoads, okay, in their software, or maybe Bentley View, or maybe the obsolete OpenRoads Designer, or the soon to be obsolete OpenRoads Designer. They can view it straight from the browser. Okay. There are some configurations that you need to do to assign the admin aspect or side of things. Okay. But basically, this workflow is a very good workflow in terms of collaboration, okay, and so on. Okay, I think we need another session to basically just discuss about the iTwin. Okay, and more into the visualization. So the model that you create in OpenRoads can be output to Luminarty as soon as you're done with the model. Okay, you can directly output them to Luminarty so that you can create similar to what you saw in OpenRoads concept station. It's the same thing. Okay, so most of the time our clients would want to see a nice visualization of the model that we created. So this is where LumenRT comes in. Okay, the LumenRT Designer comes for free. okay, in every license or install of OpenRoads Designer as well as OpenRoads Concept Station. Okay, now to cap it off, how do we start with using OpenRoads Designer? There are a lot of tools provided for us, okay, including, of course, there's the F5 or F1, okay, help tools, but we also have the Bentley communities tools, especially if you're migrating from what do you call this, from MX. So for the Bentley community, for the MX guys, okay, the Bentley communities have this MX to OpenRoads designer equivalence videos available. So you can just get them from communities.bentley.com. Okay. Uh, this is free. You can sign in or even use your if you have an existing Bentley account already, you can also use that. But this is basically free. Okay, communities. So apart from the communities, of course, we have the Learn server, from where we have some ORD learning paths as well as user accreditation to equip you on how to get started with OpenRoads Designer. So as I've mentioned earlier, um, Learn Server has robust uh, data or tools allowing you to learn the fundamentals to intermediate to advanced, okay, uh, learning paths for OpenRoads. And then specific to MX, we have some tools as well that or some learning materials that will allow you to really understand how to migrate from MX to OpenRoads and even OpenRail Designer because uh, some are also using MX for their rail design. Okay, how you can do your workspace, work set, and so on. Okay, going back to that, we have a way for you to, if you're already using OpenRoads or other Bentley softwares, we have a way for you to communicate to us on how you can file any issues or help tickets. Okay, and of course we have YouTube tutorial videos published free. Okay, over the web. Just go to YouTube and then just type in Open Roads. You have lots of tools there. Then another would be the TSG Civil TSG YouTube channel of Bentley. And similar to this, we have webinars, updates, and most important is the onboarding, okay, onboarding program that we have, okay, specific to the other legacy or V8i versions, MXRoad, Geopath, Inroads, and then also the third-party softwares, okay. And we have a user accreditation program that from where you can be accredited as you can be an accredited, okay, OpenRoads user directly from them. We have that. So, and the latest nowadays is the student and educator for those who are attending from the academic sector. Although currently the free access for students and educators, we only rolled it out for Australia, Singapore, Ireland, Lithuania, and UK. But I think Malaysia will come in very, very soon. Okay? So we have the education that which we just rolled out like a few weeks ago, I think. Okay. And this is a Bentley server, Learn server. Okay. Just learn.bentley.com, and of course the education, Bentley education.bentley.com. Okay. So that's all for me, Laura. I think
Yeah,
yeah, I'm done with the presentation. So any questions that
yeah. I guess we can open the floor
yep,
for the participants to ask questions, but we have here the one in the chat. So
okay.
actually, the question is, Okay, other than road design or model, does the software include functionality for culvert, MEP, or utilities that we can combine into the road model that
So,
created?
like
So
the
that,
drainage, right?
Mhm.
Ah,
that
yeah.
mhm.
That's also possible. If you
Yeah.
see, wait, if I may just go back to the template, okay, you can also add the drainage as part of your template. So I have a sample. Yeah, this drainage where you can add them in your template. Okay, so instead of having the end condition, maybe you have a drainage before that. Yeah, that can be added. Now, if it's specific to really the manholes, then the pipe, right? We have remember this drainage and utilities. Okay, you can place in nodes. We have a library of all the commonly used manholes, inlets, head walls, even pipes, okay, depending on the available. It took a while. I just clicked the function. That's why it loads in the library. So that's why it's taking time. But basically, we have this tool available for you.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there any question from the audience? Feel free to ask Melin,
Yeah,
or
please.
yeah, yeah. Admin allow you to talk, so you can unmute yourself and can ask question. But
Hmm.
if you're shy enough, just use the chat session
Yeah,
to
yeah.
put your question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, we have one question from the chat. Okay, let me read. If we
Hmm.
have if we have street lighting
Hmm.
and electrical poles,
Hmm.
is there any option to add in?
Yeah. Um, you can, you know, in relation to the drainage and utilities, it can be added as a note as well. Okay, if you see here,
Yeah.
electrical nodes, electrical meter, transformers, light, pole, utility pole, you can add them. Okay. Now, if it's purely modeling, you can use MicroStation tool inside to put them as well, but that won't be as dynamic if you would use the drainage and utilities tools. So yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Miss.
Any other?
Yeah, any more questions? Not bad, huh? We still have quite, yeah, still
How
many
many?
participants, Melin. You're not talking to yourself.
Okay, good. Because I was thinking, I cannot
Yeah,
see how many participants. Oh,
yeah,
83. Wow, that's good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, this
Uh,
is,
yeah, it's right. We should have another session for this open road. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Maybe specific to
yeah. More
drainage or
specific to
whatsoever.
drainage.
Just
Yes,
let me know.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for those who are involved in the road project, so this one include for those who involved in the bridges also, right, Melin?
For bridges, okay, if it's just a simple, like what I showed you here, right? Remember, if it's just a simple bridge segment, okay, if I just go back to, because it basically would rely on the alignment still, okay? If it's just for the purpose of modeling and applying super elevation and making sure that the bridge would also take in, but most of the time you don't super elevate that bridge, right?
Oh, okay.
Although if it's a viaduct, right,
Mm.
you have to use another software for that, which is called the Open Bridge Modeler.
Mm.
Okay,
English.
But if it's just a simple, if it's just a sample, not this one, but because I changed the template. If it's just a sample, maybe I will restart this because I used a different what do you call this? A different workspace. But I have one workspace that has a sample bridge deck.
Yeah.
So
While you're
it,
doing that,
yeah,
so there's a question. The current version produce plan and profile with can the current version produce plan and profile with current Malaysian standard annotation, which is specific to Jabatan Kerja Raya standard. Do
ah,
you? Yeah.
for now, the Malaysian standard is not yet set or it does not include that yet. Okay, but our goal is to release an additional Malaysia data set very, very soon that would have that uh, customized JKR standard. Okay.
Okay.
But for
Okay.
now, actually, some of our users who are doing Malaysia project, they customize it on their own.
Mm. Okay.
Those more advanced already. Okay, so they customize it on their own already. But
Okay.
we want to roll it out as easy as possible. So that's why we're building it together with an input of some of the users. So just wait. So
Mm.
we will have that added. Okay. But as
Yeah.
said, you can do it already, basically.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
If you go through the learning path of which I showed earlier on, there is a learning path already that will allow you to self-customize the drawing production, including the annotation.
Mm. And then
Okay.
one more question. Okay, is this software can produce full work program, such as for tracking progress construction?
Full work program. I'm not too familiar with the term. Tracking
Uh,
progress construction. Is it more with the scheduling or something?
yes, I guess this is what Synchro can do.
Yeah, I think it's in
Yes,
synchro. You just
yeah,
need to,
more on Synchro.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
So,
probably need the, what's that software? Although it's already in synchro, right? Uh,
yeah,
scheduling
yes,
tool
schedule.
already. I don't want to mention the other software
Yeah.
since you're competitors. So I avoid.
Okay. Okay, so Encik Abdul Hafiz, so basically OpenRoad is more on design, so it's a
Mhm.
full work program. Tracking progress construction is basically referring to different software by Bentley. Yes.
So search for. Anyway, I think if you can just or you know how to create a component, you can also create a component of the bridge, okay, that would look similar to this one. Sorry, sorry. Look similar to this. Just want to make sure we address the bridge mode. But if it's really a detailed model of the bridge, you should be using Open Bridge Modeler for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
But if it's just a simple deck, okay, simple bridge deck, um, with the width, okay, the thickness of the bridge and all, then Open Roads is already good enough for you. I have a mistake of turning on the drainage library. That's why it's taking a while to load.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Another one question here. So participant is asking, is it possible for them to get the annotation if they're buying the software? Means like, for example, they engage businesses for the consultation to set up the annotation.
yes, of course, of
Yeah.
course. If you see here, we have a drawing production and then annotation tools here. Although I did not show it to you, but if you have the geometry uh, turned on, I'm in the main master model, so that's why I cannot annotate from here. But I wait, let me finish. Annotate for the then easy. Uh, this is just an example now, but don't expect too much because this is not the whole file. But any annotation that is needed, let's say for the geometry, uh, for the you can add them. I just click on the object, but basically you can okay because that's very important in the drawing production. Oops. There you can add them in, and then use that in the drawing production part. So drawing production, creating your sheets, your model, your plan. This is it. This is the tool, the profile. Okay, your cross section. These are all the tools for that. Okay. Adding in annotation. So you have this tools, this tool. Okay. Hope I addressed the question. Anything else?
Yeah. Any more question from the floor?
It's for you to answer to engage PCSS for the consultation.
Yeah.
Set up
I,
the annotation.
yes.
Yeah, answer.
Yeah, for those that you don't have the question right now, probably
Mhm.
after sometime you up and digesting this session, probably a question will pop up. You can always email us,
Yeah.
sales@business.com.my or specific to me. I'm the one that's sending all the invitation and reminder.
Mm-hmm.
So you have my email there. So
Mm-hmm.
feel free to ask the questions so we can engage Melin and Bentley for the question that we need to refer to them. Yeah. So we always glad to assist for any kind of question from the participant that today. So yeah, before I guess we about to come to the end of session. So I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that everybody can switch on your video showing
Mm-hmm.
us your pretty and handsome faces because
So
we will
maybe I stop sharing, right?
yeah stop sharing so that we can take a picture of everyone.
Okay, great. Mhm. Let us know when is it.
Okay. Yeah. Still, it means still not yet. So
Mhm.
okay, let's get ready. People leaving. Okay, we are done. Look like,
Oh.
yeah, look like admin took a lot of picture, I guess. Quite some time. Okay, have a great evening, everyone, and have a great weekend. So
Thank
perhaps,
you.
yeah, perhaps everybody stay healthy and stay safe.
Mhm.
The same goes to you, Melin in Singapore. I think Casey also stay on the line. Take
Yeah,
care,
yeah.
everyone. Yeah,
Mhm.
together with this. Actually, for your information, we have NCO in Malaysia. So
Mhm.
most of people, I believe, they are working from home
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, I heard because one of
Yeah,
my team is based in Sarawak too.
yeah. This hard time shall pass. So
Mhm.
hopefully, we able to travel and we able to gather again. And see you again, Melin.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
soon. Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, thank you to all participants
Yeah,
and
thank you
hope.
everyone for
Okay,
So,
thank
speaking.
you.
thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Thank
Helene. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for the session.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Didi, Didi.